Hey everybody, it's the Last Raider, and we're back again with another video for YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite franchises, which is now apparently circling the drain and going to die, and that is James Bond. It's always been a problem. James Bond was great, solid franchise for decades until Daniel Craig came along, and I have absolutely hated every movie that he's been in. Um, he just does not play the character. The character of Bond is a suave, sophisticated individual, and he plays him as too serious a role. I know that's kind of weird, but Bond always had sort of a sick sense of humor, and Daniel Craig just does not. He pushes it as he kind of plays the character as someone who is trying too hard to be Bond. Pierce Brosnan didn't try to pretend too hard to be Bond. He was just Bond. Uh, I mean, the idea is take the character and make it your own, but Daniel Craig doesn't make it his own. He's trying to be someone else the entire time. Oh, this is the latest Bond movie that's coming out, and oh man, it's gonna suck. Anyway, this is from Bounding into Comics. I'll put a link to this article in the description. James Bond star Daniel Craig admits Donald Trump will be a focus in the upcoming No Time to Die film. Yeah, hard pass on that. Hard pass. James Bond star Daniel Craig confirms that the upcoming No Time to Die production will include references to Donald Trump. Okay, question. When have any of the Bond movies made a reference to a president? Honestly, James Bond has never even saved the president of the United States. James Bond just stops a bad guy from threatening the free world. That's what he does. Ah. Craig spoke with GQ magazine, which more than likely was to promote the upcoming Bond film before it was postponed in November. By the way, I heard about why it was postponed. It might be in this article, but apparently it was postponed because they put the movie up, which apparently makes Bond look like a weak bitch, and it's pretty much the classic. We're gonna make it's sort of kind of like Supergirl is now. You know, Superman is super cuck now. He's not obviously that powerful. The scene where he goes, "No, I was at full power and you beat me. You're stronger than I am, Supergirl. We gotta take this one character and make her higher. But we can't actually lift her off the ground. We've got to make the actual original hero she's based off of. We got to make him shorter. That's why they picked a guy so damn short to be Superman. I mean, frick. Anyway, he told them, "We keep struggling. We struggled to keep Trump out of this film," he added. But of course, it is there. It's always there. Whether it's Trump, whether it's Brexit, whether it's Russian influence on elections or whatever. No, let me tell you something. That's Trump living in Daniel Craig's head and most of Hollywood's head rent free. This is why he is the God Emperor. Because he is psychically interfering. He literally has psionic powers to interfere and screw with his enemies. Just like the God Emperor of 40K. Deal with it. He is the God Emperor of mankind. Oh my God. But I mean, here it is. We've got this. We're talking about that Trump is going to be in the film. It's going to tackle Trump, probably tackling Brexit too. I mean, why? Who cares? Can it not be that I'll tell you what would be a good Bond film. Having James Bond protecting British interests because a rogue organization like Cypher is trying to is taking control of the UN, and they need Britain under their thumb. And so the United States and Britain are the only ones doing it. Bring back Halle Berry's character and bring back an aged Pierce Brosnan if he wants to do the part again, and have them and maybe his like daughter come back and she becomes the next 007. And so they end up, like fight. And then you've got a really good story going on. But no, we can't even think of that shit. Forget that. Craig didn't stop there. He went on to comment about Brexit and described It has a sort of nihilism, of course, because people wanting to have their own country where they're unique. Like your country is your safe space. It's supposed to be. I thought you liberals would get this nonsense, but okay. There are British people working in the top industries in the world, and at the top of those industries, we do we do that, and we are good at that. And somehow we're kind of breaking all that apart. How? How is you taking control of your own country breaking that apart? Whether that's breaking from Europe, there's a sort of nihilism, isn't there? No. There's a sort of, we don't like the fact that these other countries are leeching off our economy and making us pay for their defense that they won't do themselves. I mean, look at Greece. Look at a lot of these countries over in Europe. There's plenty of them that just won't put their own money into their own damn defense, and they expect Britain to do it all for them. At the end of the day, they're nothing but a bunch of refugees. It's retarded. Craig then describes how he sees James Bond. This is why. There's something I feel that Bond represents. Someone who's there trying to do a job and doesn't want any effing publicity. And this is a joke because he drives an effing Aston Martin and does all these ridiculous things. But these people exist. It's the ambulance service. I know it's terribly kind of romantic, but they are people who are just getting on with it and saving people's lives. No. No, 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 no. James Bond is not this type of person. James Bond is a blunt instrument used by his government to solve a problem they cannot otherwise diplomatically fix. The people that James Bond deal with, you cannot negotiate with them. They have money and they have power. The thing they don't have is a check and a balance. And so Bond is somewhat of that check and balance. They send him in to go in and do a job. He goes in, whether he's got to kill the bad guy or not, that's to be seen, but Bond goes in there, does some espionage. Sometimes he's sabotaging them. Sometimes he's blowing their entire facilities up, taking out bad guys, and he ends up with the girl afterward. He drives an Aston Martin because he's probably working for the government, and they expect him to have a certain level of, sophistication. He's got to look, they're not going to simply take some bum off the street, and these bad guys are going to respect him if James Bond rolls up. Bond's got to roll up in a nice car. He's got to come in with a nice suit. He's got to have nice things. It's not that he's trying to stand out. It's that there's a certain persona that he has to put forth to gain respect and infiltrate. You morons. 90% of the time, James Bond just walks to the front door. That's why he's one of the few heroes or heroic individuals or heroic characters that can storm the gates of a building and not be shot all to hell by the time he gets done. He can walk right into the front door of, say you've got some CEO who's trying to nuke the world. He can walk right into the CEO's front door and start a conversation with him. He's sophisticated. He's suave. He has to be these things because he has to garner the respect of the person he's trying to screw over half the time. Because usually they're people in the highest position of power you can imagine. Some of these guys have more power. Some of these villains have more power than individuals in the British government. This is why Daniel Craig's movies are so stupid. Because he views Bond as like an ambulance driver, and he's not. Bond's a killer. He's licensed to kill. He's given all these gadgets as the original... I think it was Fleming is the one that wrote the James Bond series. I can't remember right now. But he was the one that stated he was talking with another guy who wrote another character who was similar to Bond, but was more, had more character traits. And Fleming basically said, he said, my character is just a blunt instrument of the government who gets in these fantastic situations and shoots his way out of them. That's it. Give him get him a hot girl and a good car. Have him win some blackjack or some poker, and he has one particular style drink, and boom, you've got it. I mean, Bond is actually based on a real individual. He's actually based on Pavlov, I think it was, a Polish man, I believe, either Hungarian or Austrian, but he was an actual spy for the U.S. Or he was a spy for the British government, and the U.S. Kind of, oh well, you're a British spy and everything. He went to Edgar Hoover and told him about the Nazis. Said this is what the Nazis are planning. You need to do something about it. And Edgar Hoover told him he knew how to do his job and told him to fuck off. Right afterward, Pavlo was also, I believe, he was also telling him that there was going to be that the Nazis knew about an imminent attack on the United States, which was Pearl Harbor. They didn't listen to him. Boom, Pearl Harbor got bombed. Pablo was like, fuck the U.S., went back down. And then what's Britain do? Britain sends down a handler who was a hot chick, by the way. You just sent a woman down there to get him back on line. I mean, damn. But while he's in there, he does pass by Ian Fleming, and Ian Fleming sees the guy and finally figures out who this dude was and writes an entire book based on him. I think at the time he wrote the first James Bond. Started writing James Bond after meeting Pavlo, but didn't realize Pavlo was a double agent. Like, he was like a double agent he was working for the Nazis. And then he came over to Britain and said, hey, I'm working for the Nazis. Do you guys want me to spy on them? Britain's like, fuck yeah, man. They didn't give it. Yeah, I saw every day a double agent just drops out of the sky. Yeah, we'll take it. It's retarded. But Daniel Craig I honestly believe most Hollywood actors have no concept of history. They don't look into the character before they don't study them. They just go in there. I think Daniel Craig is the first guy in a Bond movie to play James Bond with these preconceived notions, but not actually do any historical fact checking about the character to begin with. Craig then despairs how Donald Trump and Boris Johnson conduct themselves, but that's not the way the world works now. It's about humiliating others to save one's own skin, and it's cowardly. It's just effing cowardly. No, that's about what. If you've ever seen war or politics or anything, somebody's getting embarrassed when they get done, unless you compromise. Not only does Craig admit that No Time to Die will have a focus on Donald Trump, but he also details he was more heavily involved in the writing of the film. Oh, this explains it. Okay, facepalm now. It's one of those soggy face palms, you slap the top of your head and it just kind of oozes down your face, just down past your chin. Oh my God. He says, I kept my mouth shut before and I've stayed out of it and I've respected it and I've regretted it. No, you want the film to do something and you're going to fuck with it because you're not a writer. You are an actor. That's what's going on here. That's why this movie is going to suck ass. Yeah, I'm not interested in this. Oh, I've got new interactions. 4 new interactions. That's probably over something gun related. Okay. Writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge adds, he is incredibly passionate about the work. Bond is very close to his heart, and he fights for the integrity of the character every step of the way. Fuck. So basically, he came in there and decided he was going to mansplain the script to everybody. And I'm being facetious here. And he decided, and they're all saying, oh, well, he's really into the heart of Bond. He wants to protect the integrity of the character. The integrity of the character. James Bond's integrity, a lot of his, his willingness to die, a lot of him hating, fighting these people is that they've personally harmed him. I mean, screw it. Daniel Craig's Bond is not part of the Bond movies. It ended at Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan doing the last movie with Halle Berry. That was the end of James Bond. He married Halle Berry's character. They had a bunch of kids, and he lived happily ever after. That's it. I do not accept Daniel Craig as a James Bond. The thing that made me hate him as James Bond is when he would shoot a gun on screen. James Bond shooting guns on screen every guy that would shoot a gun as James Bond would shoot a gun and do it effectively. Daniel Craig is flinching every time he's pulling the trigger like he's scared to death of it. Director Cary Futanagi also stated Daniels very adamant that Bond is the driving force in everything. He's the jackhammer. He is tireless and will work until he's basically crawling home. No, no, no. Bond always. Damn. This is why. This is why Daniel Craig sucks as a Bond, because he doesn't understand the character. And now you've got an actor who knows nothing about writing, nothing about storytelling, injecting probably political activism into a movie that doesn't require it. Like I said, tell me when a sitting U.S. president has been required to be even recognized in a Bond film. Even when Bond came to the United States and was doing stuff over in the U.S. as a spy, it never came across the president. He just dealt with a couple of CIA guys and was done with it. They come in, okay, yeah, you got permission, operate through here. We're going to stay out of your hair. If you ever need some help, we'll come in and help you out. And they let Bond do his thing because Bond was a superb professional. Damn, they've lost the Bond films. You want to see a good Bond film, go watch Dr. No, and you'll see how effective a Bond film is. With Sean Connery, very good film. Very good film. You watch that, and if you've seen anything historical about KGB intelligence and all this other nonsense, you're like, oh, damn. They're actually pretty on point. Ian Fleming in a lot of the earlier Bond movies that were based off his books were very, very spy-centric. This is now all political. It's horrible. The latest James Bond film, No Time to Die, has been delayed to November, with media reports indicating it's due to coronavirus. Yeah, I bet. Everything's due to coronavirus. It's a fucking flu, okay? Wash your hands, folks. Blow your noses. If you start feeling like you're getting sick, put a mask on. Things will be fine. However, recent rumors indicate it could be due to rewrites, and Craig's comments regarding Trump actually add fire to those rumors, given how woke films have fared at the box office the past year. Yeah, this is kind of true, man. Okay, you make this, you let Daniel Craig get a hold of the script, who's an actor, not a writer, and now he's completely screwed things for you. What I heard was they did a showing of it, a test screening to a test audience, and the audience hated it. It was almost as bad as when the Rise of Skywalker came out, where people were trying to leave, and Disney was like telling them, "Oh, if you leave, we can't give you your special stuff we promised you for watching." Yeah, this is what's going on. They just couldn't get. The only way you're making me sit through a Daniel Craig movie is if you give me Pierce Brosnan's laser watch with a working laser. That's the only way I'm sitting through a Daniel Craig James Bond movie and not getting up to go vomit afterward. Either way, No Time to Die is expected to release November 25th, 2020. Expect a bomb. Just like Star Wars, just like Ghostbusters, just like Charlie's Angels, female Ocean's 12, Ocean's 8, or whatever it was. Let's just go down. Like Terminator, just keep hitting each one of them. It's all gonna go broke. Okay, you're not gonna make any money off this, and they're gonna make the claim, these characters just don't exist anymore, until someone honest comes along. I'm waiting for the new Ghostbusters movie, because that's when this shit started, was with Ghostbusters. And I think it's gonna end with Ghostbusters. I think the new Ghostbusters movie comes out, it's going to be written well. If it's written well, and it's done well, and it's not a political hack job of politics like something the Soviet Union would put out there, then damn, you're going to see that movie just take off, and everyone's going to be like, well, maybe it was the woke acting and the woke stuff that we put into the movies. Because here's Ghostbusters. It failed in 2016, but it's working now. And what is it, 2021 or something is supposed to come out? I don't know. But it's supposed to be a good movie. I plan on going and watching it. I gotta watch the original Ghostbusters first. I gotta find them and watch them. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, James Bond is, as long as Craig is James Bond, I'm not interested in watching it. I'm not even interested in watching this movie. Period. Anyway, anyways, that's it for James Bond. It's going woke. It's gonna go broke. I'm calling it now. Anyway, be sure to comment on the video and like it if you enjoyed it, if you found some value out of it. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notification. As usual, folks, I'm the Last Raider. Stay frosty, keep your head on a swivel, and I'll see you guys next time.